Good morning, everyone. GM, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Friday, April 11th. Folks, a green morning out there. It is a GM indeed. Crypto majors, alts, memes are all rallying here. We've got Grayscale saying, hey, tariffs might be good for Bitcoin. We're seeing some serious signs of strength. The question for today is this real, or will this rally fail like the others? We're going to break it all down on today's show. No Farouk. I think he is back next week, but we've got Mando. We've got Logan. GM guys, how you doing? Mando.
I'm doing great, man. Probably one of the most busy days I've ever had over the last 24 hours, but I'm doing good.
Yeah, maybe let's quickly talk about it. What a first day for Yeet. 2 million volume, 1,800 signups, 200,000 bets.
Yeah, it's still going. Like, we just hit 2,100 signups, and yeah, closing in on 250,000 bets. So huge day in terms of people who came on. Yeah, like we had some very early on some performance stuff that we've now dealt with kind of, and we're dealing with a couple more things now, but like the problems that we're having is just so much demand basically, which is I think is a good problem to have at the start of a product. And yeah, not getting a lot of sleep, but life is good.
We'll take it. So that's a good first day report. We're excited for you, excited to keep following along. I feel like this week.
Yeah, well, we're going to be doing a lot with for this show. Right,
of course. Yeah,
it'll be a lot of fun. End of every single show, I think we'll find something. I'm actually trying to like optimize the site for this show in some ways, so that like this can be done well. But yeah, we'll play it. We've got Sims, who's the producer, who's been streaming for hours. You might be able to come in there and help us when Farouk isn't here.
Yeah, so I jumped into Sims' stream yesterday. And he was going through some of the games. I watched him do the Risky Mint game or Risky Click game.
Risky Click. Yeah. Sims' streams is basically a guy swearing about 5 times a minute.
Fuck. You will quickly get a glimpse into Sims' life. And
that you need to tell the dev about that lamb because he fucked me multiple times on that fucking road yesterday. Multiple times.
It is devious. There's a game that basically shows you what you would have won if you kept clicking. And Sims also, like, we have a game called Coin Race, which is basically like you bet on different currencies, and everyone bets on Farcoin. And literally within millimeters, Sims lost one of these, and that's like a 70x. Hopefully, we'll get a bunch of them on this show. Actually, when I was showing Farouk how we're going to do it for this show, it was like we're just going to bet on Farcoin every single show, and then see who wins.
Fastest horse. Although Buttcoin might have it on the day. But in all seriousness, folks, if you want to see some of these games in action, of course, go check out Yeet. We'll have our referral code here on the screen, but also jump in Sims' streams. Like they are awesome.
Yeah,
and you'll get a feel for these games. So yeah, we're at the yeet.com register with our FOMO Hour code. That's what you'll need to be eligible for our on-air games starting at, we think, next week. Yeah, as long as
it's going to be Monday. When Farouk is back, and we'll see how those prizes go.
We'll see, but we're excited for it. Logie, Yellow Wall, live from Peru. GM, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, folks. Yeah, doing well. Another beautiful day here. Got a really great coffee this morning on my walk over. Feeling good, man. Prices are green. Nothing to complain about.
How strong is the Peruvian coffee?
If you're getting espressos, you can get some really strong espressos. I've had some great espressos. This morning I went with a flat white. It's great. It's good. So not super strong, of course, but it's doing the trick.
A little too soft for me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just feeling something a little different. I don't know exactly why. I'm normally black coffee, Americano, espresso, that type of thing. Today I opted out. I don't know.
Nice. Well, we'll see. Happy you get to experience that Peruvian coffee. Folks, what are we talking about on today's show? The markets are rallying here. We've got Crypto rallying as the dollar sinks. Gold is soaring. The 10-year is up. There's a whole lot of volatility. Hype showing some serious strength in the alt streets. Fartcoin showing strength in the meme streets. Memes are pumping kind of across that Solana board right now. We'll take a look at that. Prompt debut. We'll have some more reactions now that we're more than 24 hours in. It's going up here this morning as well. Logie wrote the story. Alien Punk sale, $6 million. Seems good at first glance. Then you see the seller lost $10 million. Maybe one of the biggest NFT losses of all time. And then this Bitcoin Ponzi, we have to talk about it. It's over $10 million now, closing in on $15 million. This thing is up only. And we'll go around the horn on a few other topics as well. Before we dive in, shout out to our partners, starting with Galaxis. Galaxis is a Web3 platform empowering creators and brands to build unstoppable communities with full ownership and independence. Trusted by icons like Donald Trump, Steve Aoki, Mike Tyson, and the NBA, shaping together the future of engagement. And Wallet Connect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect, that blue logo. It's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. We love our partners as always. And love to have you back here. Jim, let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
Well, we're definitely having a stronger day at the moment, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's mainly just this concept that gold is going absolutely wild, and people looking at Bitcoin and saying this is digital gold. Maybe this is the thing that we should be owning a bit more of. You've seen the situation with China and the US has not really resolved. They've both increased tariffs again in the last 24 hours, although they've both indicated they're not going to increase them further. And there was a slight olive branch before we went live, which was, I think the White House said to Xi, let's start some talks and let's see what happens. I don't really know. I don't, as I've said before, I don't really feel like those two are going to come to any sort of an agreement. But I think, and I'm not too sure even how good this is for stocks, like still pretty high tariffs. You have bond yields going higher, which is never really that good. And people are, I think, just nervous when bond yields start to go back up again, because we keep on hoping that they're going to come back lower. Gold going higher is the main reprieve, I think, for Bitcoin here, and I think there is there's like a strong feeling that this is the time potentially for Bitcoin again to really assert itself as a currency or like a store of value here that is impervious to kind of what's going on in broader macro, and also may benefit from a slight collapse of dollar power or any major currency power. So if there's a time for Bitcoin, it does feel like it could be now. And that narrative is kind of coming stronger. Part of that is also just because money printing is starting out again very, very strongly on the back of these tariffs. A lot of countries moving towards the idea that the only way to deal with it is to pump up liquidity, save their domestic companies. We've spoken about that a few times. So, I was bullish at the local lows there 2 days ago when we did this show. I still kind of think that is a medium-term narrative now. These tariffs have brought forward a lot of money printing, and I think you're meant to buy dips in Bitcoin. Things might get worse in macro before they get better, but if that macro then spills over and causes Bitcoin to fall, I think you're meant to buy Bitcoin. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So let's see how it does. In terms of what's actually rallying the most, interestingly, hype has probably been the best performing L1 off the lows. I think part of that is just the volumes going through, obviously the buyback, people kind of starting to forget the recent, I guess I would call them exploits, but yeah, recent issues they've kind of had. Solana's actually had a good 24 hours. I think part of that is just a maybe we with Farcoin back at 900 million, we could start to see some more activity in on those streets. AVAX got an ETF. It looks like coming from I think it's VanEck, which is a pretty good sign. And just a kind of a rebound across the board. I would across a broad range of L1s here, but for me, I'm still really just focusing on Bitcoin here. I just think it's the most obvious one. If stocks fall out of bed, I think the L1s are the ones that probably go down, whereas Bitcoin, I think, will continue to outperform. I haven't looked at Bitcoin dominance, but I assume it has not gone down over the last. It's just going higher again.
Yeah,
Just bringing it up now.
Up only.
Yeah,
63.5%.
Yeah, so it's up again today. I just wouldn't short that here. I think just don't. I wouldn't overplay it necessarily. It's interesting that memes have outperformed everything, kind of on this bounce. Really, just one meme, to be fair, but like, it does feel as though people feel like those have bottomed out slightly, at least the major ones, and you're seeing some nice recovery across the board. So
that has been interesting to see. I want to dig into all that. I think maybe we start with Bitcoin. A couple interesting, more TA related posts that I saw. Easy, on the Nifty Show does several. He's got his trend line here saying basically Bitcoin keeps bouncing off of this trend line, but this is these levels to watch. It's been bouncing off all the way down. Key level around 83. I think we're right above the trend line right now in the show, like 82.5. As I look at this, so what if we get to 85? Does that mean we're like really? Is that the sign that we're breaking out? If it gets to 85, and then John Bollinger himself coming out and saying there's a W band bottom.
We're bringing out the Bollinger Bands. Wow, yeah, it does feel like Bitcoin has ranged here enough. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say. So I think that is it's a sign now that if we get any sort of stability in macro, I think there'll be a question about whether we'll follow gold and general global M2 here going higher. Mm-hmm. I think this is quite like a Western-centric show, or like obviously we have a lot of people in the US, UK who look at this sort of stuff, but I think globally, like for a lot of currencies right now, Bitcoin looks attractive. Looks attractive in a trade war here. I think it's not just the dollar. I think people will look at this for a lot of if you're only domestic currency into a trade war. Yeah, I just kind of feel like people want to own the dollar. Own Bitcoin potentially.
Yeah, I mean the dollar's going down. I think that was one of the louder cries in the timeline last night. Was just how rapidly the dollar index was dropping against other currencies. I'm with you. I feel like there's kind of a growing sentiment that now is the time for Bitcoin. Like the U.S. is coming out and kind of overtly saying that they're ready to move away from the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency. We've got physical gold rocketing up. Like, if not now, when? Right? There's more global volatility and chaos than we've had in what feels like a fairly long time. Grayscale came out. They released a report. There wasn't a whole lot of meat behind this, but they were talking about how tariffs could be a boom for Bitcoin, and then effectively just pointing to how it has been holding up relatively strongly compared with stocks and other indices over the last months and during this decline. So I think we're seeing more of that.
Yeah, I wrote an article about this report as well. One of the interesting points to me was, they pointed to stagflation potentially coming as a result of the higher tariffs and how scarce commodities outperform in those periods of time. Like they showcased gold appreciating 30% annualized in the 70s, and sort of leading itself to say that, even though Bitcoin hasn't had a period of stagflation in its history, it would seemingly potentially fall in line, just like, gold did. So we'll see. But this, you're right, Tyler. I mean, this is it's time to shine. I feel like I saw a tweet from Bob Lucas maybe today or yesterday that said, though, that he thinks it's failing its opportunity right now to shine.
Because we sold out? Or was it the same poster where he said Bitcoin's ethos?
It was a different one. But I'm not sure if I was viewing my feed chronologically or not. So it could have been from days ago at this time. But yeah.
I mean, it's lagging gold in this rally for sure, but then I think I've seen other posts, other people saying that's typically how it has been. Gold rallies first, then Bitcoin runs further. I think Arthur Hayes was saying that. So I don't have the data to back that up, but I did see that take. It's so hard to predict on a day-to-day basis, right? And so much of this is just at the whims of Trump, China rhetoric, and any other surprises that may come out, but it does feel like it. I mean, it's held up really, really damn strong, and the double bounce now off 75. I think it's a comfier hold now than I think it has been for a while. So I like it at these levels.
You kind of know your downside, right? And there's a lot going for it right now. I think that the main worry is still the US 10-year, like if that continues to go, oh, that's nice.
It's just going
If
up.
that continues to go higher, then people will just get worried about like a global meltdown because there's a lot of debt around. And that, for me, is bullish for Bitcoin, but some people might be like, that initial move, if you start to see like things starting to break, then we kind of already saw what happened to Bitcoin in that time. So yeah. I honestly don't know, but I also think people might reach for it even more in that time. That's what I'm kind of like saying. It's very difficult to judge like how quick the secondary reaction will be there.
Right. So I know you've been busy and neck deep in the Yeet launch. Is it the Chinese selling their U.S. treasuries that's driving this massive move?
Something that
more details.
Yeah, look, it's something I think that maybe people in the US aren't really aware of, but like the biggest holders, or most of the biggest holders of US debt, as in like who funds your budget deficits, is other countries. China owns 750 billion. Japan reportedly owns like 2-3 trillion, right? And there's tons of countries that own US treasuries, like just tons. So like when people say, "Oh, how do we get this money from?" It's from other countries, like saying, "Hey, it's okay. We're okay. We think you're a good lender. Like, we'll get your money back." The comment was that it was Japan, potentially, because they were trying to defend their own currency. But if you're going to start a trade war, just know that the budget deficits in the US are essentially funded by other countries.
Right.
And that's why the bluff was called. Let's put it that way.
It is a very interconnected world order right now. I think this flashing headline here on CNBC: consumer sentiment tumbles in April as inflation fears spike. I think that does match the reality. Like on yesterday's show, we had Sam Stats come on, and he said he's already starting to make like some soft changes. They go out to dinner, like, let's go somewhere a little bit cheaper today. And Logan, we were chatting after the show. You said that caught you off guard a little bit.
Yeah, it did. It did catch me off guard. And some of that is perhaps my own ignorance, and just the way that I'm going about things. But those are the very real anecdotes that I think it's difficult to receive sometimes, because we're so enveloped and isolated in ZT, right? And it's really difficult to get outside kind of our own little chamber of individuals. But there is a very real world out there in which people have to be cognizant of how much they're spending each and every day on food, at restaurants, on groceries, and those things definitely matter. So don't, despite my own ignorance, don't want to downplay the importance of those things. So yeah, that type of stuff, and that feels like, I'm not an economist in any way, but that's the type of stuff that feels lagging, right? In a way, right? Like, I don't know how I'm trying to say it, but like the numbers themselves will catch up in the future as less people buy things because of it, right?
Right. Yeah. So people are tightening up now. That's not maybe necessarily shown. That'll be in the next round of earnings reports, all that. So I am looking at the details now on this consumer sentiment. The consumers who were surveyed here are projecting expectations for inflation to be up to 7% next year. So clearly there's like a lot of concern over the tariffs. That is a massive jump, especially when the actual trueflation numbers, like right in front of us, are going to new lows. I think I actually tweeted this yesterday. I'll see if I can pull this up. Kyle over from Milk Road, I guess he's been tracking the trueflation numbers compared to CPI, and effectively 11 months in a row, Trueflation has predicted the CPI number exactly with a 45-day lead. And if you look at it right now, Trueflation is showing at 1.75%. So the next CPI he's projecting will be right there if this trend holds. So as of right now, Trueflation is going down rapidly, but that's also to be noted that the tariffs haven't really started hitting us yet, at least that I've seen. So a lot of uncertainty, but maybe consumers being overly afraid as well could be mixed in. But we'll certainly see how that continues to impact a lot of other stories on the day. I think that was a pretty good macro roundup. I think we got to talk about the hype strength here. Hype, absolutely one of the top alts out there. It's over $15 this morning. Since that local bottom that we hit, Sunday night, it's up about 50%. So other than Farcoin and maybe a handful of other memes, like this was one of the better tokens to trade off that recent rally. So it's becoming, it's hard to ignore that. I think if you're in here looking for day-to-day trades at this point. And then Moon Overlord, who I actually haven't even seen him tweet about hype all that much, if I'm being honest, says it's the only coin that would survive stock market evaluations, and that we're going towards that route, which it does feel like we are going a little bit that route. Like at least anecdotally, when I read the timeline, there's a little bit more focus on revenue, buybacks, things of that nature. Logie, any reactions here to this? I know we've been talking about hype a lot, but
yeah, I don't know the best way to characterize it. Not necessarily shocked. I think the narrative has shifted. Maybe sentiment has shifted around hype a little bit. No pun intended, but my timeline seems to be a bit less hyped about it than it was at, one point in time. But in terms of the mechanics here, aside from, what Mando was mentioning in the beginning, those few little blips of, kind of exploiting or taking advantage of HLP in the vaults, it's still operating as it was previously, right? There's tons of trading activity. They're still buying back tons of hype, which is what Moon is alluding to. I mean, until people stop utilizing it and trading it and they stop buying hype, it's going to remain pretty strong, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I agree. And I talked about on the show, I closed my position during the exploit. I was eyeing it on the dip. I did not get back in, and now I'm like the FOMO is starting to build a little bit. So this is one I'll continue to watch out for on dips. I think the other story here, we've been dancing around it. We've been talking about it a ton on this show. I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on it.
860?
My God, Fartcoin. The cup and handle breakout looking picture perfect there.
It was like 370, I feel like, when we were on the show
8 days ago.
Yeah, when I was on the show last week, I feel like it was like 370 million. And you could have gotten it way lower than that, like days before that too, I think.
It was very viable at 400 for basically several days last week. I mean, it chopped at 300 for 3 weeks with lows. It hit 200 million at the bottom. So now a full 4.5x almost. It hit 920 this morning briefly. This is the fastest horse, and it continues to be. And it does, like, the parallels to Pepe from the 2023, 2024 era, I think are striking. Where Pepe was the meme coin brought up the most, it was usually the fastest runner off the bottom. And now you don't really see as much Pepe talk, and you see a lot of Farcoin talk. I mean, it's the mind share winner every single day. Like, I look at this cookie board, even on Prompt's debut, which was heavily fudded, Farcoin's still number one.
Yeah, I think Farcoin might be like the number one coin for mind share in crypto. But I see, right? Like, it's wild. People just love this thing.
Wait, did Farcoin ever get did it ever get a listing from anywhere? Tier one?
No. That's the point.
I was trying to find the Gordon Goner tweet, the very, very first one from like November, in which he outlined the thesis about, like, how everybody's going to make fun of this, and it would be the biggest mindshare winner, which is largely played out thus far. But I was reading back in January in my attempt to find that. He said this is a once in a cycle onboarding opportunity. Man, he's been spot on about this basically the entire way. That is crazy that it hasn't gotten a listing. I feel like I'm going to really... I own like 100 Fartcoin on a ledger that I sent there as a test to get my ledger set up and everything like that. So I have what? I have 80... Yeah, I've got like, $86 or something like that in Farcoin. But I feel like I'm going to really, really be kicking myself for not adding in that 300 range. The first time it started to showcase like even a blip of strength in the face of everything else should have been like a signal, or it should have been a signal. Yeah, exactly. But of course, that's when, I didn't have the balls to be greedy when others were fearful. As cliche as it is.
The bottom about a month ago, March 10th, was when I wasn't even opening my Phantom wallet on a day-to-day basis because I didn't want to see what the numbers were going to tell me. And historically, at least for me personally, that has been a bottom signal. What's also interesting at this level is now, if you remember, the fall from 270, the peak Trump weekend back to $1 happened in 8 days. It was rapid, and we were euphoric, and not that many people took profits in that range. So where a lot of the first group of whales really started to capitulate their bags is now lower than we're at right now. So I think like Taiki, who tried to become the face of Fartcoin there for a bit, sold a lot. I think he capitulated at 600. So now we're 40% above that level. So if you didn't catch this move, now you're buying higher.
Yeah.
So I think there are still marginal buyers for this, and I think there will continue to be. Pepe went to 11 billion.
I know. I need to be a buyer here at some point. I feel bad. It just feels so bad. I'm so bad at the buying the winners thing. I've said that a lot before, but it stinks to buy the 300% gain in the month, especially when I was here every single day. I was here every damn day. It's not like I wasn't around.
It's hard to buy these candles. I can understand that. I think you'll have another entry. Like, I'm not telling everyone to go race out and buy the 100% move we just saw in 3 days. But some clear strength. Another token that's showing some nice strength this morning was Prompt. Went all the way up to 28 cents. So back at 250 million FTV. Logie, we talked about this at length yesterday. I don't know that we need to go in super detail. I think one development was Kalos. We had him on the show a week ago as we talked about Wayfinder and all the different AI agents. And then there was a lot of FUD on the timeline yesterday. We talked about the FUD. He came out and responded to it head on. Curious for your thoughts or reactions.
I really appreciate that. And I know I have a little bit of bag bias here because I have a prompt airdrop to claim, but I just appreciate founders who are willing to be transparent. He says full well right in the very beginning, we could have communicated better. Of course, things didn't go to plan or as smoothly as they could have been, but just the willingness to kind of face this in the same day, basically, as everything is falling apart. We know how infrequently that type of stuff occurs in this industry. So I huge props to Kalos for that. I still don't know. what the future holds for this token, but I am convicted in a product like it succeeding. Whether it's Wayfinder or not, something that is going to allow you to participate in crypto in that way with the, very easy chatting with an agent to accommodate all of your needs on chain without the difficulties that in the current technological barriers for many. Something like that is going to be necessary if on-chain activity is going to persist, in my opinion. So definitely bullish on something like it succeeding. And right now, the only bet you can make is on prompt. And so, not financial advice, but that's why I'm participating in holding this token.
I think you nailed the bull case. I said that a commenter asked for my three takeaways from our interview with Kalos and the team. And like my very first one was they're in pole position for the on-chain AI Copilot. And I do believe that is a need that a lot of folks will want. And they may not even know they want it yet, right? It's just like ChatGPT. Like a lot of us didn't know we needed it, but then once you actually start integrating it into your daily life, you get to a turning point where it becomes harder to do your daily tasks without it.
Yeah.
Like once you start becoming more reliant on it. And I'm finding myself kind of getting to that point.
I'm there. Yeah. I'm there too.
People aren't there yet for their day-to-day crypto transactions, not even power users, right? But as you become more and more comfortable to these tools and the trust builds over time, I do think we'll cross that chasm.
Yeah. I think one of the potential really big unlocks, and maybe this is a segue to some other topics as well. For example, I was out this weekend doing stuff and I saw you talking about Bitcoin and some other things like that. It was just too difficult for me to do all those things in where I was at the time, right? Like I would have had to bridge some more money to abstract. I would have to do all this shit. Consider I had the opportunity, and I don't believe Wayfinder prompt has abstract connections at this point in time, but you consider in a future where I could have just said, hey, I want to participate in this. Can you help me? Right. And it's conceivable that it would have been able to, and I would have had exposure to that. But instead, I didn't take all the steps necessary, of which I believe there would have been many for me, and I missed. And then I just sat out. So,
yeah. And I think there's always an open question of what do you need the token for? I actually think this is one that has one of the more clear use cases for the token. Like they've said as much as collateralizing these paths here being transaction paths. So how does Logan use the Midas agent to bridge USDC from ETH to abstract to enable him to buy the Bitcoin token? So that's what it'll be used for, among other things. And man, should he have bought that Bitcoin token? He is more poor today than he would have been if he would figure that out. Because folks, this token's off the chart. I tweeted last night. It looks like a honeypot chart more than it does a Ponzi game. Maybe those two things are usually similar. I don't think we've seen a successful Ponzi game like this in quite some time. Like what's even the last one you could remember that had? I mean, granted, it's still pretty new.
DeFi Kingdoms, or what was that one that was on blast? That
Crypto Valleys.
Crypto Valleys.
Did people win on Crypto Valleys? I feel like that one shot so high so fast, and then it was down only.
Yeah. Like the first week, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Crypto Valleys was the last one that had a lot of money pumped into it, and orders of magnitude more capital than has been pumped into this. But yeah,
what is it? It's just a Ponzi.
Yeah, so basically, a mining game. Okay. Bitcoin mirrors the tokenomics of Bitcoin, and everyone had the chance to start out and basically mine for free. So you could get this potato, which would allow you to mine like a very low amount of Bitcoins every day. But then if you wanted to invest, you could actually buy like higher end. Like this is a NVIDIA GPU, which mines. So I put in a decent bit of capital the first day, reinvested profits, upgraded on the second day. And then I've been kind of selling and taking profits and choosing not to upgrade since then. So right now,
I don't know. No one texted me about this thing. I only found out about it at like 5 or 10 million. Was this going on? Well, I feel like there's another chat.
I put the referral link in the FOMO chat. 1 mil, Michael. You didn't click it. That's why.
God.
Yeah, I put my referral link in there at 1 million as well, and I don't think anyone clicked it. Like
shit.
I will say, like, in hindsight, a potential mistake. I think you have two routes you can play. If you think these games are going to make it, you can buy into the game and the assets and try to do the mining and play the game early on, and then try to recoup your investment. Or you just play the token. I bought the token at $1.30. I should have just held the damn token instead of buying all this equipment and then mining it over time. Of course, I didn't think that it would have this kind of a run. So now it's up a clear 12x. It was buyable. It was buyable at $1 for most of the day on the 8th.
Yeah,
it was just sitting around there.
I think,
or I guess maybe,
this is loudest on my timeline right now. And yeah, you guys were participating days ago. I mean, I think it's still going to have, based on my limited frame of reference for successful Ponzi's or whatever you'd like to, equate this to, this definitely still has some juice in it. I would imagine, based on the sentiment and the stuff I'm seeing on my timeline.
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, for everyone who's out there, like it's riskier to get into this game now than it was yesterday and the day before that. So just be totally aware of what you're getting into, because it is very likely to end up being a zero, as most of these are. What part of the reason I sold yesterday is because for me to upgrade, it was going to cost me like $5,000, and that felt like, to me, that was a lot to me. And also I was like, if that's what the next marginal player is going to have to do? I feel like the appetite for that type of investment isn't huge right now, given these market conditions. But then we had Wiz of Soho, Pranksy, Mean, all like show up basically for the first time yesterday, and then they're touting it. So I think that's what's driven this last run. It's going to be even more expensive today. I think these miners are going to cost you like something like $5,000 to $10,000 each. So we're on a limited timer here, but it's been a fun game. I think it's been a nice boost for Abstract. Like that Abstract, clearly a winner here. Some other tokens starting to see some green on the day. The NFT board in green, OCH Heroes. That's one to watch. So I think everyone knows, like, the Bitcoin Ponzi game, it's not going to last forever. Maybe it lasts another week. Maybe it lasts a month. I don't know. OCH Genesis Season 2 is around the corner. And now there's a little bit of a wealth effect, a small wealth effect. Not huge by any means. But people made some money on Bitcoin. And now maybe more folks are farming Abstract. And they're like, hell, maybe I'm just going to stick around here for a bit. And the capital got a little stickier.
All the ETH streamers are on Abstract. They're all going there. Feels like to start a beautiful friendship.
There is a Yeet streamer group / meta forming.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing it.
We've got Wizard of Soho, Kook,
wow,
Sims, obviously, us, Rect Radio. We got a bunch of people.
Nice. Well, I think there was some early FUD on the streaming of Abstract, but now we're starting to see it. The plan is starting to come a little bit more to fruition. So you got to let these guys cook a little bit. Everyone just loves to race to judge.
Well, Luca's an investor, so he's keen to make this also work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been one of those folks, Tyler, and we've talked about it. I've been quick to judge, perhaps unfairly, or maybe definitely unfairly, but I just haven't seen or experienced, too much on this that really deviates. And it's tough to deviate too much from other chains, right? I mean, there's a limited amount of things and applications you can realistically put on chain. So that's not an explicit knock at Abstract versus others, but I just wasn't seeing much of a reason to participate on a daily level here. And so I really haven't, too much. It might bite me in the ass in the future, though. That's for sure. And I understand that, and hope people do really, really well. Bitcoin being a really nice catalyst, hopefully, for the future of it. But I don't know. I don't know what I want to do on chain right now. Anyway, I mean, I think that's a big problem for everybody with the current state of things. Like, what are you going to do on chain right now?
Wait, is this right? Bitcoin is the 6th highest volume token across all chains. Is that right? It feels wild. Let me. I mean, it's right up there with the Solana board, and if the other ecos are quiet, then yeah, maybe that's right. I mean,
come farm the ETH airdrop, Logan. You know, you're in Peru.
Yeah, for a while longer. Maybe I need to turn up the volume, unplug my headphones, so the rest of the folks in this complex can get a little bit of ETH advertising.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Where are you in Peru still? Are you still up in the north?
Yeah, I'm still in Trujillo. I'm here the entire time. So another 3 weeks. Yeah.
Wow, so you're staying there the whole time?
Yeah, my fiance's rotation is here, so this is where she's based for that time. Yep.
I was about to say you must really like it there. Nice.
It's not so bad. Man, it's tough to beat the weather, the cheap prices. We're gonna do Machu Picchu next week. We'll see. It's a good time. Yeah.
Get the train up. I did the train. So you can fake it and act like.
Are you gonna hike, Logie?
Yeah, we're doing the short Inca Trail, but just a 1 day of hiking. So it's like an 8-hour hike, and then
he's training it. That means he's taking the train.
And then the second day, I believe they take you up in a bus or something. So we don't have as much time as we'd wish to do, but we're gonna do 1 day of hiking.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'd have to train for that.
Take some coca leaves, you know.
Yeah. They sell the I think it's called acetazolamide or something. It's a altitude sickness thing over the counter. So we've got those too.
It's everywhere. The altitude sickness pills are everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that is fun. I think coming back to your comments, I think very fair. And I think what Abstract needed was more winners, right? There hadn't really been a whole lot of like Memecoin action. Like I've seen the screenshots, and the folks who are really grinding it every day have hit some runners, but there haven't really been any more like larger scale breaking out of the Abstract bubble into broader CT winners out there. I think OCH maybe got there. OCH was pretty big when it was at its peak, but now Bitcoin has gotten there.
Yeah, and that's what you need for onboarding. That's what you need for more people to be like, okay, yeah, I'll put some money there. So this is a pretty notable event in that case.
Yeah, nice win for Abstract. Let's move on to a story that on the surface felt like a win, but maybe that was not the case. So. Am I looking at the right? Yeah, here it is. So Alien Cryptopunk 3100 sells for 4,000 ETH, $6 million. The problem is the last time it sold, just over a year ago, 4,500 ETH, so a 500 ETH loss. $16 million. It was a $10 million loss on NFT in a year. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Logan, you wrote the story. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. So Punk 3100, this is now the third time that it's in that leaderboard you were just on, Tyler, the top sales. Yeah. It's listed there 3 times. One of them being, of course, the third largest, being that $16 million sale last year.
No one wants this thing.
Yeah, and then it sold in 2021 for $7.5 million. Yeah, it was allegedly brokered by Fountain, which I know Noah from CryptoPunks and Christie's, formerly of CryptoPunks and Christie's, I think works and or maybe runs. I tried to reach out for the story I was writing to get some additional commentary about who initiated this, whether it be buyer or seller, but unfortunately didn't get a response back. But I don't know, man. This is wild, but you can understand a little bit, right? I mean, if people are, if someone who has committed to Ethereum in some way by committing a $16 million sale or purchase of a CryptoPunk is just capitulating on ETH and wants to lower a tax bill, you'd imagine they are a pretty active crypto participant. I would guess, right? So probably some gains to potentially offset. Doesn't feel too bad, I guess, in that way if you're gonna wipe them away. But it was a newly funded wallet, private offer to that address in particular, which speaks to the brokering. Otherwise, we don't know too much more. I saw some tweets about 3100 had a small Ryder Rips drama back in 2021. Wasn't worth including in the story, but so there is a little bit of history with this particular punk as well.
I mean, has arguably one of the most interesting histories, I'd say, of most of the punks out there. It's probably it has to have the highest volume traded. It's probably one of the highest cumulative volume traded digital assets in existence.
Probably. Right? Yeah. Because it's trade. I think on that top leaderboard, maybe only one other punk is listed there twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
done like $30
notable.
million in this single NFT has done $30 million in volume. The timing is interesting here. So I'd say like there's a chance this person wants to offset some gains. Clearly, they've got a lot of capital to work with. If they're slamming $16 million into a punk, maybe they're an ETH whale, so they were thinking about it more in ETH terms. I think the way you look at this is very heavily skewed if you're looking at it in ETH terms versus USD terms. In USD, this is a huge loss, and ETH is like 500 ETH. It was a 10% loss basically.
Yeah.
Not really that bad.
Not that bad. No.
If you're bullish on ETH rebounding, it's actually a very sharp time to sell. If you're bullish on ETH, right? Because you're getting the tax loss, and then you're getting ETH at $1,500. So great time to sell if you're an ETH bull. Also, it's right around tax time.
Yeah.
Was this a sale to help fund
cover some? Yeah,
a lot of potential scenarios on the table.
I like the headband. I like the simplicity of this one. I think the top sale is the one with the pipe and nope, sorry. Okay, that's the second top. Yeah.
Then the one CEO, I'm blanking on his name, came out and did the splashy $24 million 8,000 ETH sale.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think he levered up to buy that one. The Perugia one does feel like the best alien to me.
Oh, really? I like the bandana with the glasses personally. It's number 6 there.
It's a nice one.
Yeah, the pipe. I don't know. I don't love the pipes.
But. The cowboy ape and the hoodie ape are they might be better than some of the aliens. I don't know. Like they're pretty damn good. Let's check in on the punk Bitcoin spread here. Yeah, not much movement from yesterday. 66K, 82K. So we're still down 20%. Not great. But Loki likes the headbands. Let's see if there's any headbands out there. I think that the one headband female that Farouk likes, it's dancing around. He's not that serious about it, or else he would have bought it because it's 75K. I paid significantly more than that for the punk that I bought. So, and I know he's got it. So he must not want it that bad. Sorry, V. But that is a nice one. That's actually one of the best ones under 50K.
I like that second row, second from the left, the female with the shades, and I kind of like that.
It's kind of aesthetic for the squiggly hair on the.
I want something
better.
Yeah, I want something sort of minimal ish. I'm a pretty basic guy, pretty plain guy. So
yeah, it could fit you though. They're low. Yeah. I want to see. I think we went around the horn. There's not a whole lot else. Did you have a chance to look into one interesting story here? I don't know if I've got the tweet pulled up for this, but Binance listed virtuals before Coinbase did. So the Coinbase angles of FUD are going to continue. The results of their second batch of vote to list, ONDO, Big Time, and virtuals were the winners. So virtual going live for trading here today at 11 a.m. So I think it's coming up. I think it popped a bit on the news. And it's up 13%, still hanging out, 340 million, 53 cents. I mean, not the best looking chart. But Logie, I think you wrote a Coinbase article that with ARK, the ARK, like Kathy Wood made a big right before the turnaround.
They bought
it's there.
Yeah, so ARK and Kathy Wood, the actively managed ETFs, they bought around 200,000 shares, which was around I don't know if it was like $31 million worth or something like that. This was literally the days preceding Trump's tariff announcement. They bought that. So they are up, quite a bit on that. They're one of the largest institutional holders of coin. They're like a top 8 holder. They have about 3 million shares of Coinbase, which is like probably over $500 million now. I'm not doing the math in my head right now, but 480, yeah, $510 million, something. So, yeah. There wasn't any commentary attached to that. I'm sure Kathy Wood has provided in the past, but they of course have a pretty strong tie to crypto. They have their own Bitcoin ETF. They have, of course, those ETFs themselves. The ones that hold coin are like the next generation of the internet, fintech innovation. So they're very much committed to the cause right now. So it makes sense for them to be holding something like coin. But yeah.
That was interesting. Also interesting that Coinbase just hates to list some of the base native tokens for whatever reason. So maybe they'll get out of their way on that.
They listed prompt day one.
Yeah, I think which makes you even madder if you're in the virtuals ecosystem, right?
For sure.
I mean, kudos to them for listing prompt. That's a great token to list day one. But we can have a longer conversation about that.
Kudos to listing my bags. Yes.
Yeah, always.
Kudos.
Did you have a chance to look into the subs.fun last story before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I did. So subs.fun more or less is sub forums. I mean, you could kind of consider it something similar or akin to like Reddit, in terms of like the actual mechanics of posting and the topics, the niches, and each one sort of gets its own token. And the AI agents kind of manage and reward based on upvotes and stuff like Reddit would provide, right? Basically reward those who are participating and providing quality content. So it's something that I think, hasn't really been done here all that often. I think you could sort of think of Kaido in the same vein, right? Sort of like this info-fi, creator-fi type platform where they just want to be able to better align creators and quality content. That's what I'm taking away from this. And actually very similarly, and this is maybe a close tie, I don't know if you saw the Dig stuff from yesterday, but Dig is using Privy. Did you see that? Maybe that screenshot was fake. I have not had a chance to investigate that, so sorry if that's fake news. But Dig is the Kevin Rose platform that he and Alexis Ohanian are respinning up to do something, in my mind, very similar to this, which is use AI agents to moderate and create sort of these community sub-forums for consumption and creation as well. So
maybe this is the next trend, these tokenized Reddit forums, effectively. Like Reddit did have this, right? Like they had that Moon token.
Yeah, they kind of did.
Yeah, had a few.
But I think I could be wrong here, but I think like the way the moderators basically had to reward that token, is that right? So there was a level of there was a level of involvement that was like maybe unfair or whatever. This is being you're being rewarded based on the community and then the agents that are sort of running the platform, if I'm explaining that correctly. So I haven't had a chance to use this. It's in invite only. So there are maybe some things in there that I'm, misconstruing. Apologize if so, but that's the way that I was interpreting things just on reading.
It's an interesting concept. So insert world event takes place. You launch a sub, people talk about it. Community grows. You tokenize the community. Contributors get rewarded. I get that, but what's the incentive to buy that token? And I mean, that's always the question for tokens. But I don't have.
Well,
like
I think
AI, like this is the first token that launched from subs.fun. So this is the token for the crypto AI sub community. One of the highest, highest growth areas of sub communities, I think, in crypto right now, in general. I don't know about this specific forum, but at a conceptual level, it's trading at 5 million.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have the bull case for why you would purchase this, but in terms of like what could make something go up, or why you would maybe want to be tied to it, is just general demand around a particular topic, right? Like, so think about the Reddit sub forums that generate the most posts every single day. Those to me would be, in a perfect world, in a world where subs.fun does really, really well, those to me would be the ones that would have the highest market cap tokens, right?
Did Reddit ever try to monetize their sub forums by via ads? Like that's a way that you could potentially.
I think there are ads on them, aren't there? I don't know. I'm not a Reddit user. I should probably know before I just blindly say things like this. But
where's Emma Crypto? When she was our Reddit expert.
How else is Reddit making money? I mean, they make tons of money, right? They have to be doing ads somewhere, I'd imagine.
Sure. Well, we'll continue to follow up on this interesting new product that launched here this week. Some success, $5 million. Not easy to get a token to that level. Certainly as we have seen. But folks, I think that is going to be it. We went around the horn. Fun conversation here today. It looks like how are our coins doing? Looks like we're still hanging out in green. Hopefully we have a green weekend. We will break it all down for you on Monday morning. As for today, that's it. I want to thank our listeners, thank our partners, thank my co-hosts, as always, Mando, Logie. Folks, we'll be back Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Until then, go make it a great day. Goodbye.